Hi, my name is Kim, grateful, recovering, compulsive overeater, weigh and measure off the Gray Sheet food plan, turn it into my amazing sponsor every day, eat exactly what I commit, don't eat between meals. And abstinence is by far the most important thing in my life. The reason I am alive, my abstinence date is September 22nd, 2014. So funny. Sometimes I just don't like identify with the person that, like, I say that a few times a day. Sometimes it's by rote, but it's like, I don't know. I think it's part of like piecing all my brain and body together when like people talk about, after like healing and from PTSD and stuff, like all of a sudden your like head just belongs, or this is how I visualize it, belongs like on your neck, which belongs on your shoulders. Like it's all aligned. And I think I'm feeling more and more of that, but that's not what I was going to talk about. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. But anyway, so I'll talk a little bit. Some people here know my story, so I'll just do a quick run through, not much to tell. It's the same. Yeah, I mean, what I hear is that everybody has different manifestations, but it's all the same. Didn't have an eating disorder till I was 16, then decided to starve and basically had a life of, you know, binging and starving. That was it. I heard somebody once say that they thought that the binges, um, were planned. But it's like when you come from anorexia, like, no, they come out of nowhere. Like, oh my God, how did that happen? This was my starvation day. So it was like really, yeah, it was just, and then I discovered, I don't even know how and I was a health food binger. So you know, a lot of what's on the gray sheet, I basically always ate. I mean, unless I ran out of things like how we eat on the gray sheet, just like, bathtubs full of it. And but I'm telling you, it tastes so much yummier when it's weighed. I think that's what keeps me abstinent. That's what's kept me abstinent for so long is that the same stuff that I used to binge on, like just tastes better because it's mine. Like I can't explain it. Anyway, so yeah, binged and starved and just I never understood, an exercise like I would binge and then like go for a 5 mile run in the snow, just things like that. And I was just thinking, it just came to me when I was in high school too. I had a date with a guy it's probably the only date I've ever had in my life. Like I've had a kid with a man, I've lived with a lot of men, but I don't think I ever dated anybody. But this was a date, we went to see some existential film, and I was so excited for it. So of course I had to starve for a week before, get to the movie, and then I pass out because I hadn't eaten in a week. Like that was my date. And that like defined who I was and just like walking in the streets and counting calories. Okay, so I've had, you know, 900 calories, usually like let's say a fruit, and just like, okay, so I can have one more. Oh, but that was a big piece of fruit, so that might have been 200. Oh, I might as well binge. Like stuff like that, like just insanity. I'm just imagining myself in high school, like walking, I lived on the Upper West Side and just walking from my high school in Midtown and just like I was either gonna not eat because I was burning off the binge from the night before. But I don't know how I had relationships. I don't know how I got degrees. And yeah, I have two masters. So, but I did discover after I graduate, after college, I somebody took me to an OA meeting, and that was life changing, life changing. It was like I got it immediately, and I felt like God enter me. And no matter what, like even though I was in and out of OA and then moved to Israel and was in How, and I started some OA meetings and like, it really is true that like Gray Sheet is the mansion, the final mansion on the block. And and that's the one that I'm choosing to live and grow in. But Gray Sheet would not have made sense for me when I was 20, and like 90 pounds. Like it just wouldn't have. The OA and the fact that I had like the concept of 3 meals a day, which even when I was done with OA, I like stuck with for a really long time. The meals got more like enormous, but it was still like there was still this separation and just, I don't know. I just remember like my first Thanksgiving. And there was also a community of us, like in the village, of us young OAers, except for one person who's always on, she's not here now, but she's pretty much always on this meeting. Except for one person, I just like always hope that I'll see some of those other OAers on one of these gray sheet meetings. Like, where'd they go? I mean, there were so many of us. So, anyway, so I don't really feel like I need to go into the blood and the gore of the eating. Like I do something that came to me and I've shared it a little bit, was that it was so bad that I was in an abusive relationship, maybe the only one where there was like physical abuse. And what I realized a few years ago, I don't know, he was actually this abuser was the person that took me to my first OA meeting. But up until he took me to my first OA meeting, I remember that I would prefer to stay at his house screaming and fighting, and who knows what we were fighting about. I mean, I was like 20, but like he was crazy. I mean, he was really crazy. I guess I was too. Um, but I would rather be in that than go, he was on the Upper East Side, than go all the way to the West Village and be alone with a refrigerator. It was like I just couldn't bear to be alone with a refrigerator. And my refrigerator was either full or empty. Although I don't think it was ever full. I think it was probably always. And I remember also like trying to go food shopping. Like, what is it that I would buy? Like, I couldn't cook. Like, I just don't even know how, I just don't know how I functioned. And then I moved to Israel, as I said, and I was there for 10 years. And that was the first time in maybe decades where it was all of a sudden like, I don't even care about the three meals. Like, I just started eating like whenever I wanted. And that's when I like, okay, I need to get back to OA. So I started some English speaking OA meetings. And and then so that was off and on. And then I did How, and How was really also just like a very spiritual experience until it wasn't. And then I mean, that was so at least I knew how to put my food on the scale. But and for me, I think the reason that I could not, one of the things I think that I couldn't stay on it is because I just saw everybody doing their own thing. This whole with exception thing wasn't working for me. I don't know if it was the carbs or not, because I wasn't used to having carbs. Like I don't know if I trust what all the gray sheeters say, which is, what happens to our body, a distillery, but in my experience or how yeah, my feelings were more like that's not what took me out. Was it was just a free for all. So, and I also wonder what happened to those people that I don't like. Are they still doing How? So, anyway, so then I moved to the Bay Area where I'd never lived before. And again, the food just like took over, but it wasn't just the food this time, it was like substitute sugar. Like I was downing them. I know everybody has heard this. I was just downing them. Oh my God. It was just like, I just remember I just remember actually my dad was there. Like just one time, just like binging so badly on the substitute sugar. Like I couldn't even listen to my daughter, who must have been like 7 at the time. And the reason why I say like without this program I would be dead, because I know that that's true, that it would have been either suicide or I would have like gotten in a car accident. Like I don't need to look at the road if I'm like having this. Like what's more important? Like having that is way more important than looking at the road. Like of course. And or car accident or who knows, or like liver failure. I don't know. So I heard so I was going to the gray sheet meetings because they were a convenient time. They were Saturday morning, and then but I wasn't going to go on gray sheet. I wasn't really paying attention to that part, but some people were very, very friendly. Some of them are here right now. Ladies, you know who you are, that were at those early meetings, and they just always looked just like lovely. And um and then when somebody qualified, I don't know if she's in the rooms anymore, when somebody qualified that she had bottomed out on the substitute sugar, I was like, okay, I'm ready. Like I just needed to hear that. And I said, please be my sponsor. And from that day, and I think it's why, well, I don't know why I've never relapsed. I'm just, you know, as of today, I have not. And I feel very blessed for that. But I think some of it is because I've never had cravings, because I do think those substitute sugars for me we're creating cravings, you know, or do. I mean, that's what I've read also, you know, it, and so I've never had, I mean, I always want more because that's who I am, but I don't like crave anything. Like there's nothing I imagine or I wish I had, or I like walk down a supermarket and just smell something and like, I don't know, that just doesn't happen to me
Kim,
as
that's
of
five.
thanks, as of now. Thanks, Stacey. So this is totally not even what I wanted to talk about. I had this, I usually don't plan on what I'm going to talk about, but I had this thought this morning and I just felt like, oh, if I do want to share about this. And, you know, there's this things like, who do I want to be? Actually, who am I? And I realized this morning I'm the person that wants what I have versus has what I want. And like to me, that is a huge distinction because what I want is more and more and more. And my sponsor, who's on this meeting, knows what I want more of probably. But um, but I want what I have, like 100% have what I want. Like, I don't know what I want. I want a mansion with a swimming pool, I guess, but I would still probably like not use it if I felt fat that day. I mean, I don't know. Like, so, you know, that is something, and some people here know the shit that I've been through these last 2 years, and particularly 2025. And and thank you to those who have reached out. And yeah, it's been quite a thing. And yet I still want what I have. And I also know the things I don't want to have. And that's where my relationship with my higher power, I mean, it's all my relationship with my higher power, but like, I don't really want to have this ugliness in me that I do sometimes, like get annoyed with the same person on every meeting. Like, this person is just always gonna do this thing that she does when she's on the meeting. And like, do I really want to be like stuck on that? No, like, that's not something, that's not one of those like, want what I have things. It's what I want to let go of. And that, you know, takes a lot of prayer and tolerance and finding other meetings. So, I think that's it. I don't know if I said anything about anything, and some of you I will be seeing next week, and I'm very excited. And some of you I'm seeing right now, and I'm very excited. So have a good Saturday. Thanks.